Hello everyone, you're welcome to ENG 4208, Issues in Cameroon English. It's been a long time that we've not met, and I'm sure that you have rested enough so we can start our classes. I want to first of all say that most of your classmates have been very timid in registering on the platform. So we'll start with those who are available and we'll continue with our classes. At the end of this session, I may give you an assignment that you do and submit. So it's good that you let those who are not yet online to come on so that we can all work together. So we're starting with introduction and historical background to this course. So we will begin with the evolution of English to Englishes. Before now, whenever there was mention of English language, people thought of two varieties, the American and the British varieties. So that was what we call standard. There wasn't any other standard, so we had British English and American English. But today, when you talk of standard English, the question that people ask you is, which standard and whose standard? These questions entail a lot. It means that standard is no longer attributed to the first known varieties of language that we know before now, or which I just mentioned. Standard now refers to different Englishes in the world. So it's no longer just the priority or something that two varieties of language can enjoy. Cameroon English falls under what ENGA Schneider 2007 calls the post-colonial Englishes or the post-colonial varieties. Post-colonial because most of the varieties we have today came after colonialism, after British English went out of its zone and made English available to other nations. And these nations have now used English not the way British sent to them. They are using English to meet their own purposes. And because of the different ecologies, because of the different environments, because of the different attributes of different nations, English is different. English is no longer the way British people speak it. So that's the reason we have Englishes. Englishes because when a Cameroonian speaks English today, it's not like a British person. And there's quite a lot that British citizens won't understand from the speakers of Cameroon English or speakers of other Englishes in the world. So that is why I said Cameroon English falls under what ENGA Schneider calls the post-colonial varieties. The first published book on this variety was in 2001 by Hans Wolff. Wolff published a book and gave the title The English Language in Cameroon. I want you to note this, the English language in Cameroon, because we are talking about Cameroon English. And you now understand that there is a difference between the English language in Cameroon and Cameroon English. So, after Wolff in 2001, in 2006, Quega published a document. In 2006 again, you have Tala Sando also published. And yet in 2006, you have Eric Achimbe who published. And then in 2007, Quega again published. All these works that came later on had the title Cameroon English. So you now see that from 2001 to 2006, there has been a difference. They are not looking at English in the same manner. They are not looking at English with the same lenses. While some look at English as the English language in Cameroon, these other writers are looking at English as Cameroon English. Of course, I said that you should note this because there is a difference between Cameroon English and the English language in Cameroon. So this marks a great difference. The latter writers, unlike the former, are affirming that there is a variety of English specific to Cameroonians. In other words, Wolf's work in 2001 made it clear that the English spoken in Cameroon is not Cameroon's English. It is English spoken in Cameroon. But later on, when these other scholars published their works, they made it clear that there is an English that is Cameroonian, that there is English that is specific, there is English that has an identity, that when a Cameroonian speaks somewhere, it is possible to say that this is a Cameroonian from the language that the person speaks. So that is what makes the difference between the English language in Cameroon and Cameroon English. I hope you have got the difference and that you're going to take note of that because it's very important. So in the evolutionary circle of New Englishes, the variety spoken in Cameroon has moved from the nativization phase to that of endonominative stabilization. That is what Schneider 2007 points out. So there is a difference, what we call the nativization phase and the endonominative specialization or stabilization. I will give you some handouts or just a brief note on this particular phase that Schneider points out so that you can read and understand the different phases or the different steps in the acquisition of English language, and that will help you so that you can be able to understand it better. In 2008, Anne Schroeder said the transition between these two phases is commonly given symbolic expressions by substituting a label of English in X typed by a new coined X English. Now, when you look at English in X, it's like the English language in Cameroon. That is what we call English in X. And now, X English is what we call Cameroon English. So she's saying that there has been a change over the years. And this change has been symbolized by what we call English in X, which you have like English in Nigeria, English in Ghana, English in South Africa. Now with the new phase of a way of looking at things, now claiming that we are not only speakers of English, we are also owners of English. And in that case, you look at X English. So I would advise you to read Fonka 2017 because in that article you find the main ideas between ownership of English, that's looking at speakers of English in Cameroon and Nigeria, not only as people who consume English, but producers of English. And with that stand, we are actually saying that there is an English called Cameroon English. If we say Cameroonians are not only consumers of English, they are also producers of English. That is what we mean. When we come later on, we are going to see quite a number of things, quite a number of expressions, quite a number of words that indicate that there is a language called Cameroon English. For example, maybe before we even get there, it's good that you get some of these things. When a Cameroonian says, I gave in an envelope, a British person looks at it as an envelope because that envelope has a meaning. It simply means a folder in which papers are put. But in Cameroon, it has two meanings. An envelope would become, it has the normal definition and equal has a different one, which is bribe. So if I gave him an envelope, means I gave him bribe, which is what is specific to Cameroon and to maybe some African varieties of English. So it's good that you understand that. Now let's move on. Schneider 2007 explains that the former marks the dialect. When we say the former, I mean English in X. So when you say English in Cameroon, it marks the dialect just as a variant without a discrete character of its own. In other words, when you say English in Cameroon, it has no discrete character of its own. It has no identity of its own. It bears some other person's identity. While the latter credits itself with the status of a distinct type. In other words, X-English credits itself with a distinct type, set apart and essentially on equal terms with all others. So when you say X-English, you're saying that Cameroon English is just like British English. Cameroon English is just like American English. Cameroon English is just like Nigerian English. Cameroon English is just like Filipino English or any other English in the world. So you are placing them on equal footing with other Englishes in the world. So it's very important that you note that and know that that is what happens. So this short introduction has been, the main aim was to deal with one of the main issues. Remember, we are doing issues in Cameroon English, and it starts with an issue, which is whether there is Cameroon English or English language in Cameroon. And we have established that there is Cameroon English. So we will now move on to looking at other issues. But before we move to looking at other issues, we still have the historical background into Cameroon English. So what we're looking at was just an introduction. So the historical background will now lead us into other things. So features of Cameroon English should be viewed as genuine expressions of a Cameroonian experience, not deviation from or a result of poor acquisition of British English. So when an English has no character of its own, when you say things that are different, they will say that you are speaking the other language poorly. But when an English has a genuine expression or an identity, when you speak English, what you say becomes part of your identity. It's no longer like you are getting something from some other person. So it's good that we understand all these things before we move on.